Hi, this video is going to help you complete Excel project week 3. So for the Excel projects for week 3, this is going to be a step-by-step guide in how to complete these projects. Now, the first file is going to be another teachable file similar to the charts case you worked on last week. This case, which is entitled Excel What If Analysis and Nested If, also talking about Solver here and Goal Seek. You're going to watch part 1, you're going to watch this YouTube video, and then you're going to complete the worksheets Goal Seek 2, Average Cost, Scenario, and Scenario 2. No executive summary is needed for part 1. For part 2, you're going to watch this YouTube video, and of course they're in my playlist on YouTube, as well as you could just copy and paste this into a browser. You're going to complete worksheets if and nested if, and so Solver is in part 1. So part 1 is going to be Goal Seek, Scenario, and Solver. Part 2 will be if and nested if. So these are very important Excel skills that I want to reinforce a little bit more beyond the LinkedIn Learning and beyond the data analysis textbook, where you're also going to be covering this information as well. But here you actually get to practice, and there's these particular worksheets are going to be related to the video. So you're going to have to watch the video to complete these worksheets. I left a couple comments in there for you. I know this is really too small. I'll make this bigger. Okay. So I had some comments in here about what you're going to do, but you have to watch the video to understand how to complete these worksheets. This is a couple scenario. There's a solver problem. If, do some if statements, and then some nested ifs. Okay, so again, that's really a skills builder. And what's great about this case, you don't have to do an executive summary, so there's no writing. It's really just watching those videos and completing those chores. And then let's move. No, don't save this. Let's move to the big file of the week, which is you're going to be a financial analyst employee. So this memo's to you. I'm the CFO, and the subject is portfolio return. So I have tasks 1 through 7 here. So let me take you in the step-by-step how to complete these tasks. So task 1, let's see, add the sector name to the sector worksheet for each row/stock in the portfolio worksheet. Hint, use VLOOKUP. Okay, so we want to add the sector name. So let me pull this file up a little bit so we can get to the tabs. So you can see the tabs. Okay. So here's the sector worksheet. Here is the sector name, and I think they want us to add this to the portfolio worksheet. Right, correct. Okay, so this is going to be a VLOOKUP. Now, with the VLOOKUP, generally you want to figure out, should we search on company or ticker? I think ticker will be easier to search on than company name, because some of these could be abbreviated or a little different. So let's work with the ticker. So we're going to go here and we're going to say, I'm going to put in selecting, let's move this down. So I'm going to select formulas, and I'm going to say insert, and this is a little different than I'm working on my Apple now. So let me do this formula. I want the formula bar. Why don't they let me search? Let me click on Formula Builder. Okay, so for an Apple, I'm just going to click on Formula Builder and then VLOOKUP. On the PC, you would just hit Insert and you could search there, but for the Mac, I think you have to hit this Formula Builder. So I'm going to click on VLOOKUP, and it's going to give me the functions arguments down here. So the lookup value is going to be the ticker symbol, and then the table array. We'll go to the sectors table, And I'm going to select these columns to be the table array. And column number will be 2, and then false. Okay, so the sector came in. Now, you know what I'm going to do for the lookup value? See, I'm going to change this to the column. Because I want to work with columns, because then I don't have to worry about having specific numbers on specific rows. Okay, so once I have the inputs for the VLOOKUP, I'm just going to copy this. When the white plus turns to the black plus, and I double click, I can copy this down. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to look through here and see how that worked out. It looks pretty good. Looks like everything got pulled in. And let me show you that. Okay, so this looks good. So all the sectors are in there. I want to make sure there's no n/a, because generally if I see an n/a, it means it couldn't find the material or link up the material. Everything looks pretty good here. Okay, so let me close my VLOOKUP up and go back to the memo and see what the next step is. Add a 5-year return from the return worksheet to each row/stock in the portfolio worksheet. Okay, so here's the return worksheet. And again, let's make this bigger so you can see here. So here are the cumulative 5-year returns, meaning if I invested in this stock after, $100 in this stock, after 5 years I have a 93.85% return. So that's the total return. Cumulative total return, not the return, not the annual return, which would be the return each year. This is the cumulative return over 5 years. And they're asking me to add this, to each row in the portfolio. Okay. So, 5-year return here. Okay, so we want to put this here. So again, let's look in the return. So they have the ticker symbol here. So let's search, let's do another VLOOKUP to put in the 5-year return. Okay, so I'm going to click on Formula Builder, VLOOKUP, and the lookup value is again going to be the ticker. So I'm going to select that column, and the table array. So let me go to Return. I'm going to select column B and C, and the column index is 2 because column A is 1. So column B is 1, column 2 is C. So that's where 2 comes from. And false is what we use when we're doing the exact, we want an exact match. So let's enter that. And it came over. I want to switch this format, go to the home page, and I want to format as a percent and open it up to 2 decimal places. Okay, so then I can't double click this lower because there is nothing here in this column. Invested dollars in 2012. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to leave my VLOOKUP here, and obviously I should put the invested dollars. So this gives me the weight. So this this stock here, 1-800-Flowers, is 10%, and these weights, these percentages are a little out there. So I'm going to shrink these a little bit. I don't need to be, okay. So 10% will be the invested dollars. So for 2012, so all I have to do is say the invested weight times the 2012 total invested dollars, and I'm going to get these hashtags, which we know that means that, let me change it to currency, take away the percentages, and then double click. So this is the total amount invested. Yeah, so that doesn't seem, that's not right. Let me do that. Plus this times the total dollars invested. Much better. Okay, so let me copy this down. That I can copy down. But you see I'm getting these zeros. And the reason is because I didn't make an absolute. This H3 cell here should be an absolute. So I'm going to put in a $ before the H and $ before the 3. Because and you see in these other formulas, it keeps moving H5. So there's nothing there. So that's not correct. So you have to put these absolutes in. And there we go. Now, you can see at the bottom here, it's going to give me a sum of 10 million. Or 10 million. I think it's 10 billion. Wow. Okay, 10 billion. Because this would be the millions. So that's 10 billion. So that makes sense. So now that I have the invested dollars in, I could copy the lookup statement, I can copy down for this row. And I'm just going to quickly scroll the row, make sure everything's been copied in. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like that worked. So that's good. Excuse me. Okay. So then let's go back to the memo and see what's next. Okay, calculate the invested dollars for 2012, row/stock on the portfolio worksheet. We already did that. Calculate the invested dollars for 2017, the worksheet. Hint, use the 5-year return to calculate the 2017 invested dollars. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have the invested dollars. So I'm going to take the invested dollars and I'm going to multiply that by, and again, let me make this big so you can see. Hold on, I have to get out of the formula. Make this big. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. All right. Just resizing some of the columns. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the total invested dollars and I'm going to multiply that by 1 plus the 5-year return. So this gives me, and I want to format this, so I'm going to go, and again, remember we have this format painter up here. This is a little bit different because it's Word, so I'm going to format paint that. And then I could just, white plus turns to a black plus, double click, and that copies down. Okay, so that's total invested dollars. At the top, cells H4 and H5 calculate the total invested 2017 and the total dollar return 2012 to 2017. Okay, so let's go here. So there, total dollars invested in. So I'm actually going to let me create a formula here, and it's just a sum. So I could say plus sum, open parentheses, and then I'm going to highlight this. And by hitting the Shift N and down arrow, I can highlight the whole column very quickly. These are just the shortcut keys you can learn from it. The Blackboard Announcements has an announcement on where you can learn how the Excel shortcuts work. And also the first two LinkedIn learning videos should discuss these shortcuts and how to quickly get around the spreadsheet and highlight columns and things like that. So I'm going to close parentheses, and then this is my total dollars invested. So what is the total return? This is a simple formula where I'm just going to take the new value, actually I use my parentheses, new value minus old value, close parentheses, divided by old value. So it's new minus old divided by old is a return calculation, and this should be a percent. Let's make that a percent. So this is a 50.2% return as a cumulative return for this portfolio. All right, what is next on the memo? Okay. In cell, at the top cell in C5, let's see what that is. C5. Okay, here's C5. Okay, so that's the cell they're talking about. Russell 3000 total return. Okay, so I changed a couple things. I'm going to use symbol RUA and Yahoo Finance because Google Finance is not cooperating. So the stock symbol is RUA. So let's go to, this is Yahoo Finance. So we're going to type in RUA as the stock symbol. That's the Russell 3000. Okay. Now, I'm going to work with historical data to get a number here. Actually, let's go back to chart for a second. Something interesting on the chart. Oh, it's loading the chart. And Yahoo Finance is a great site if you want to look up stocks and information. So here we get change percentage. And it looks like it's actually going to give me... Okay, well, that's interesting. But I think we'll want to go to historical data. And I'm going to change a couple of things here on historical data. I'm going to change the frequency to monthly. And I'm going to change the date to 1/1/2012 and 12/31/2017. And I'm going to apply that. That's our range. I'm going to hit apply. So, okay. So we get the range. So I'm just going to go with the close, 1582, right? So that's the close amount, 0.77 in December. And then I'm going to go down to the 2012, which was 779.22. So I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet. Now that I've looked up, I'm going to go into cell 5. I'm going to say plus new minus old divided by old. That's just my little, how I do this formula. I have to do the parentheses to make this formula correct. So I have to 2017 minus 2018 value divided by 2017 minus 2012 divided by 2012 variables. Okay. And let's make this a percent. Okay. So it looks like the Russell 3000 in this time period, and let's just double check, right? Yep, that's right. This is the value that's starting out to ending. So in this time period, we had 100, that makes sense. Going from 17 to about 16 is, pretty close to, is over 100% return. 700 to, almost 1600, 103% return. So our mutual fund, our invested dollars and our invested return on a mutual fund is only a 50% return. So we didn't beat the index, which is closest to our portfolio. And our portfolio has, 2,555 stocks in it. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Let me resize this a little bit. Let's go back to our memo, see what's next. 6. Use a subtotal function to group stocks by sector. Include totals for any column with dollars. Calculate cumulative 5-year return percentages and total dollars for each sector. List the top 5 and top 10 sectors by return. Okay, so this is saying a subtotal function. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to actually take this data, I'm going to highlight this data, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to create a new tab. Wait, looks like I'm missing A. So I want A, start with A. I'm going to highlight the whole area. I'm going to copy the area. I'm going to make a new worksheet. And I'm going to, let me paste special. And I'm just going to paste values and number formats. Okay. Maybe I also want to paste special formats. Okay. Okay, so now I just brought the information in, and what I did was I got rid of the formulas, and I got rid of, by pasting it special just the values, I got rid of all the VLOOKUPs and everything, make it a little bit easier to work with. So the subtotaling function, first thing you should do before you use the subtotaling function is you should sort your data. Oops. So I'm going to highlight everything using my quick keys. And then I'm going to say data and then sort. But there's also a quick sort key up here. So if I hit sort, if I hit that quickly, it's just going to sort column A. And if I want specifics, I can do an advanced, oh, that's a filter. I could do, if I hit this little down arrow, I could do a custom sort. And in here, I could add, so the first line is sector. If I want to add, change the order of the values or what I'm doing here, I could say I want to add, then sort by name. So I could do a double sort by sector, then sort by company name. I can hit OK. And now we have the sector and then the company name next. Move the sector up a bit. Okay, so the subtotaling function. I'm going to highlight the entire area. And I'm going to click on Data tab, and you see this so in Excel for PC, subtotaling function would be here under data, but for Mac, they have a separate data pull down that says subtotals. So we call this the subtotaling function because it's not the subtotaling formula. So in this function, here's the subtotaling formula box. It says sector, and I want to sum, and the things that I want to sum are going to be the invested dollars. Now the 5-year return doesn't make sense to actually sum that. So I'm going to, for each change in sector, I'm going to sum, and you could do things like count, average, min, max, but we're just going to do the sum, and we're going to use sector, and we're going to do the invested dollars for 2012 and 2017, make subtotals for each of those. So I'm going to hit OK. And now it created these 1, 2, 3 level here. So level 1 is everything. Level 2 will just give me the sectors. So the sector totals now. So this is a quick way to total everything. So go to the memo. It's saying use subtotal. Calculate the 5-year return percentage in dollars for each sector. Okay, so I have to calculate now the 5-year return. So if I go back to the portfolio, let me shrink this so you can see with it. I put this on a new sheet. So I'm going to label this sheet sector return. Okay, and now I have, so I have the 5-year return bucket here. So I could put in, if you double click, again, double clicking between columns will eliminate, so if I highlight this column and I double click, it will eliminate these, highlight everything. It should eliminate those annoying hashtags. Okay, so the percentage weight, ticker, and name, that doesn't really matter here. So the 5-year return, I'm going to say, again, new, actually I use my parentheses, new minus old value divided by old. This will give me my return percentage for each sector. So I can drop this down. Copy this down for each. Okay. Okay. So now I have the percentage return for each sector, and then the memo saying calculate the cumulative 5-year return percentage for each and total dollars for each sector. Okay. List the top 10 and bottom sectors by return. So we could easily do that by doing a sort, or maybe even applying a filter. So if we do an advanced filter, sometimes they have, you can do a range and they have like a criteria where you could set up, a criteria. But I think what might be easier is just sorting. Let's try doing a sort. See, this is what's tricky, because if I sort it, it's actually going to have the information in between the rows too. So there's a way to copy just the visible data, which would just be the sectors. So then I could get the top 10. This is the grand total, which is, we have that already. We don't need that. So if I highlight everything, there's a special function where I can copy and paste just visible. Okay, so to get the top 10 and bottom 10 as far as return percentage, I can't really sort something that's been subtotal, because it's going to, if you see, it's going to sort everything that's in between the rows, because it's really just hiding rows from us. So if the sort would include that. So what I need to do is I'm going to highlight this entire area. I don't need the grand total. I'm going to copy this area. I'm going to start a new worksheet. I'm going to say top 10, just to name this worksheet. And I'm just going to paste the information. So now it's here. So the return sector subtotal has the subtotal columns, which you can subtotal by level. So 1 would be the grand total, 2 would be the sectors, 3 would be all the data in between. So what I'm going to do here is I have the totals here, but they're listed by a blank. This is no name. So a quick little easy thing I can do is just, let me make this bigger so you can see. It's too big. All right, I'm going to highlight everything here, and I'm going to sort by D. So sort, and I'm going to do a custom sort, and I'm going to select column D, which is, no, I think I want to do column B, the name column. So let me sort that. And let me sort it again, because what I should do is make it Z to A. So I think no, I wanted to see where the blanks are. Okay, the blanks are at the bottom. Okay, so now here we have, put this down here. So here at the bottom, we have just the subtotals. So I can go back into this area, and now I could, and you see some of the sectors have no returns. This means we didn't invest in every sector. So not every sector is represented. That looks kind of wrong. Let's see here. Level 2. Yeah, so that data actually, there's a problem with it. And the problem is that it must be formula related. So I'm going to go back. Let's just highlight this, wipe this out, and we'll start over. And I'll go back to sector return, and I'll highlight everything here. I'm going to copy, but this time I'm going to paste special. Just give me the values, the formats, the values and number formats. I say OK. And now, and then I'll sort by B, custom sort by B, capturing the name. Back to, okay. Okay, now all the numbers are in there because it must have been a formula that got erased when I didn't copy special. So now here I have the everything, so I can just highlight the totals, and I can sort again on do custom sort, and I want to sort on column F is a percent, and let's just take off this. There's no headers on this, it's just straight on the numbers. Okay, so now I sorted, so here would be my bottom 10. This would be my bottom 10 sectors, and at the bottom of this would be my top 10 sectors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that data, I can go ahead, and this would be something that I would copy and restate on the executive summary. So I should make an executive summary tab. I'll move that to the front. And then I can take this is my bottom 10 data. So let me copy this, bring it over to the executive summary. I can put this in here. And I don't need these 2 columns, actually these 3 columns. So I can kind of just bring that data over here, and I can make a table. Let's put a little formatting in this table. Open up the cells. And then I could even make a chart. So I have the table here, so if I wanted to go to, I should probably put titles in. Sector 2012, 2017, and then return. So even if I wanted to, make a quick little, maybe I just want to make a quick little chart. It should be dates, not currency. So here I can make a quick little, and then I can just go right into charts. Maybe I'll make just a line chart. And which could show the change in the different sectors. But you'd have to relabel. I don't really like the way this chart laid out. So maybe you can just make this will make a much simpler chart. Here's the 2012, and I could show column on this as far as return, and so you can easily make a couple charts that way. And then you could do your, let's insert the text box here, and then you could do you'd start your executive summary in here. Let's go back to the memo and see. Okay, so that was the last thing. Then draft a short memo, your boss, VP of Finance, discussing the findings and analyzing the new information, draw conclusions, make recommendations for the stock fund. Here are some make some charts and graphs. So list the top 10 performing stocks, top 5 performing sectors, bottom 10 performing stocks, the bottom 5 performing sectors. Compare your fund's return to the 5-year return of the Russell 3000. So basically what I'm saying here is, now that you have this information, you have the portfolio, the individual stocks, the sectors, the sector return, the top and bottom 10 sectors, and all the sector returns. Now you have to be a financial analyst and make sense of this data and say, basically you should talk about, why is the return of this portfolio different than the Russell 3000? Well, obviously because it doesn't include all the same stocks. What advice would you have? Maybe you'd have some advice that a certain number of stocks that they should drop, or stocks they should invest more money in. Because given the reason why the portfolio isn't the same or closer to the 100% return is because the percentage invested in is not completely equal like the Russell 3000. some stocks are have a heavier weighting than other stocks. And if you weighted heavily on stocks with low return, you're going to have a lower overall return. So maybe you should sort by return and suggest stocks that the fund should drop, or suggest investing more heavily in stocks that have a better return in the past 5 years. So this is what a financial analyst would do, is kind of look at all this information. And now I want you to make sense. So when you draft up the executive summary, remember you're going to use the memo format to, from, subject, and then you're going to do the intro. So in the intro, you basically describe how you organize the Excel data and what Excel formulas and functions you used. Then you would do the financial analysis. Again, this is way too small. You would do the financial analysis, where you would look at all the returns, all the stocks, and summarize what stocks did well, what stocks did bad, the overall return for the portfolio compared to the Russell 3000, and just really do a big stock analysis on this portfolio. And finally, the recommendations, which would be, and remember, when you could, there's a review in here with spelling. So if you spell something, I know I spelled recommendation wrong, so if I double click that and say change, you can do a spell check on this, which is a good thing to do. And then the recommendation is going to be, what should we do moving forward? Should we buy more stocks, sell different stocks, change the makeup of the portfolio, change the weights of individual stocks in the portfolio? You have to make concrete suggestions of what the CFO, what you're advising the CFO to do to hopefully improve performance of this portfolio. So you need to make concrete decisions and suggestions of what the company should do to change the portfolio to have a higher return. And you can even do things like, if you drop the bottom 20 worst performing stocks, how does that affect the overall return of the portfolio? What would the overall return of the portfolio be if you did drop the 20 worst performing stocks, or the 50 worst performing stocks? And what would be the return if you put a heavier weight on the stocks that did perform better? So this is the recommendations you're going to make to finish up this file. Okay, so that is my step-by-step how to complete this case for our financial engineering class. I hope you found this useful and helpful in completing this assignment. Thank you, and I'll see you again for week 4.